Well guys, it has been a little over a week since I've dropped my STI off at Ranch Built to get all the stuff needed to put on the new turbo kit. In just a few hours here, the car will be 100% ready for us to go pick it up and immediately start working on it. Shop was a horrible mess, so I spent the past couple hours just cleaning it up. I have organized all my parts on my shelf. Everything for the Honda's on the top shelf. Everything for the STI, what I'm doing right now, is on this shelf and down below. We have a lot that we need to get done on this car. Now, I told you guys in my last video that we are somewhat rushed to get the STI done, and that is true. I am trying to race in exactly a week now, and we have a lot to do to the car. We have a whole new fuel system we need to build and put onto the car. We are converting our power steering rack to an electronic power steering rack, and then we are also just putting on the new turbo kit. So we are in somewhat of a time crunch, but I think we'll be able to get it done in time. I do not want to rush myself too much because that's when I'll mess something up, but we're gonna go at a normal, good pace and see if we can get it done. But on my shelf here, some parts have come in for the Hawkeyes as well. I have all my brand new motor building tools that came in, new bearings, rings, the BCP turbo that will be going on that car. I'm very, very excited for that turbo. It is a stock location turbo that still utilizes the stock size inlet, 2.4-inch inlet, which is absolutely insane. And Josh has made, I think, almost 700 wheel out of that turbo, which is just insane. So I'm really excited to see how that turbo is. It lights very quick. I think that turbo is going to replace my #1 turbo, the FP Black. And then we are also changing one more thing on the STI. I'm not going to say it, I'll show you guys. It's going to sadden me quite a bit, but now those are only temporary until some new ones, proper coilovers, come in. I guess I just said it, but whatever. I'm getting rid of my air on the STI, which makes sense. This car is now a drag car. It does not make sense to have the full air suspension on there when I need to go to a proper drag setup, so we are going to be removing that as well. I have my Manley H-beams, pistons for one of the motors as well. I have everything to get one motor assembled. I still do need to drop these heads off at our local cylinder head service shop, but I've not done that yet as the 17 STI has taken priority. The STI no longer drives because of what I had done to it. The turbo no longer fits in that location. So I just made a reservation for a U-Haul. We'll go pick that up and patiently wait for the go-ahead to head out to pick up the car. All right, it is currently Friday, and next Friday, I need this car on a trailer heading out for our first race event. Here is a quick rundown of what Ranch Built did for us. Nothing crazy, but was kind of time consuming. As you guys can see, the ABS now is tucked in the fender well. It is no longer mounted over here. It is now out of the way, hidden down here, because the turbo will be sitting right here and the ABS was interfering. Plus, I really wanted to clean up this engine bay, and having the ABS tucked away out of sight will clean it up so much more. As you guys can see, the lines are ran back here and then tucked under the fender. And then they also made me a very nice catch can. Never had a catch can on this car before. Normally the AOS just vented underneath my car, but obviously racing at a track, you cannot have blow by shooting onto the track, wetting it down. So I had to get a proper catch can made, so we are all ready for the track. And I have my brand new charge pipe, and I did spend the money and got a nice Boomba throttle body as opposed to my IAG one. This one's a lot better. Now that IAG throttle body can go onto one of the Hawkeyes, because that is what's nice about having a couple STIs. All the parts are virtually interchangeable. So I have this on here right now. This does need to get removed though once we start tearing this apart. Right now, today, we need to get everything stripped. So we are going to be deleting the power steering. That will clean up that area quite a bit. Like I've mentioned, I'm converting this to an electronic power steering rack. So it will free up space here, because in the near future, I'm gonna have to go to a mechanical fuel pump. But for now, it's going to clean this up quite a bit. I have to get the AOS removed, all the lines disconnected, because I am relocating that. I'll have to make new lines once again. And then we need to get this car up in the air and start removing the subframe. Went to Harbor Freight and picked up a few things, and one of them One of them is being this transfer siphon pump, so we can drain all the fluid out of there, because if we disconnect these lines, it's just going to leak everywhere. So this way, using this, we should be able to remove this with little to none leakage. There we have it. We got everything disconnected that we can from being on top of the car. We have the complete power steering removed down to the power steering rack. We have the front mount taken off, charge pipe disconnected, and the AOS removed because that is getting relocated and I need to replumb the lines anyway. But look at this front mount size difference. This is my old 4-inch core, and here is the new one. This is just absolutely massive. with it being modified for HD clamps. Before I was running couplers, and the couplers started to expand quite a bit at right at the 40 PSI mark, which is not a good sign. So now we have HD clamps all around. You'll never have a charge pipe blowing off ever again, so that will be very nice. Plus, this just looks so much cleaner using the HD clamps versus couplers all around. So now I need to get the car up in the air. I need to remove the headers that are on this car. I'm putting new headers on. Oil pan, because this oil pan is custom made for the headlight turbo kit. As you guys can see, it has a custom drain for it. But now we are utilizing a different oil pan. And then we still need to remove the power steering rack and subframe to get the new ones put in. I most definitely having issues with my air. Ever since I got it back, it airs out the front in like 30 minutes. And that never happened before. I had a small leak in this bag, but it wouldn't completely air out until after like a week of sitting. So there's something fishy going on there, not quite sure. I wonder if they disconnected something when they were doing their relocation stuff. Not quite sure, but it doesn't really matter anyway because I'm getting rid of the air suspension in this car. I told you guys I wanted to have 1,000 horsepower bagged STI, but after talking about it and just discussing it, it does not seem like the smartest idea ever. I'd really hate for something to happen, a bag pop under all that torque and load to send me into a wall or something like that. So I am going to be removing the complete air ride system on here. For right now, I have stock struts I'm going to be putting back in. Since I am trying to race in just a week now, I don't think I'm able to get any coilovers, anything like that in soon enough. So I'm just gonna resort to the stock suspension. I think it's still going to be better than the air suspension, but I guess we'll find out. Really anxious to get a lift so I can show you guys what I'm doing under the car as opposed to just showing you guys the boring stuff up top. But I went ahead and drained the oil because I am putting on a new pan. And then I took off the old headers as well. To get the oil pan off, I'm going to wait till the subframe is out of the car. It'll make it a million times easier to access the back bolts. Plus it's all coming out anyway, so no point in trying to get the oil pan out now when the subframe is about to get removed anyway. But unfortunately, I might have to skip showing you guys the part of removing the subframe, which is quite unfortunate. There's just no way to really show you guys exactly what I'm doing. So I am very bummed out about that, but it's very straightforward. Taking subframe out, steering rack, and then putting the new one in. The new one does require modification. I will get into that once I have the subframe out. I was sketched out about using the cherry picker in case it fell or something failed, but also when you have the legs underneath the car, you don't have much room to move around to get the subframe out. So Devin has so graciously lended me his engine support bar as neither of our Harbor Freights had them in stock. So he really came through and saved us today, or else that would have ended the video where we are at. But now we're gonna go ahead and get underneath this car and get the subframe out. And there we have it. We have the stock power steering rack and subframe removed from the car. This is my first time ever removing a subframe from any vehicle before. I thought it was honestly gonna be quite difficult doing so, but really it's not that bad at all. It's a few bolts and the thing drops right out. My plan was to get the new power steering rack and subframe put into the vehicle today, but plans have changed. Devin is hosting a meet tonight in just an hour, so I think I'm going to attend that with them and just enjoy the Friday night. But here is how the STI looks right now. Pretty gutted besides the motor. The motor is the only thing still attached. Everything else, no turbo kit, no headers, obviously no front mount, headlights, wheels, subframe, all of that is removed. And this is probably the most apart I've ever had this car. aside from having the motor out as well. I mean, I could get that motor out. It's like a couple bolts and the thing comes out. But this is the most this car has ever been taken apart. I cannot wait for what this car will look like, drive like, feel like after this new setup that we are doing on here. But I'll bring you guys with us. I think I'm taking one of Devin's cars because obviously I do not have a cool running car to take over to the car meet. So he is so graciously letting me take one of his cars, and I'll bring you guys along for the car meet. Now this may end up like it did in Texas where I get too camera shy, especially it's worse in a city that I'm from and everyone knows me, so it's kind of hard to, it's harder to talk to you guys with people I know watching me, but I'll bring you guys along and see what's cool there. Well, Devin so graciously let me take the Evo home last night after the car meet. I did not record anything at the car meet. It was freezing cold and I did not feel like picking up the camera and walking around. It was a good turnout there, lots of fun, and I cannot complain. I got to drive an Evo 10, and truthfully, I've always hated Evo 10s, but after driving this, I really want one. But this morning, I'm going to drop this car back off at Devin's shop, or else I will be keeping this Evo forever. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop this off, and I have some errands to run, and we need to finish the STI. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.